Buyer's remorse.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Remorse. I'm Darren.
And I'm Justin.
And in this show we're talking about games that are in our library that we haven't played yet, that we've bought in bundles and they've just been tossed to the bottom of the heap. I pick one out for Justin to play, he picks one out for me, and we give it a spin for an hour and come back here to tell you guys how amazing it is or how dire it is. Justin, I can't remember the whole name because it's quite a long name. What was the game?
2 words.
It's still long.
Nether resurrected.
There you go. Complicated enough.
Though when it comes up on your Steam library, it will just come up as Nether. The reason it comes up as Nether resurrected, from what I can understand from the news on the Steam page in my library, is the game originally was released in 2014, and it was basically taken off the market about a year later.
Oh, this is already sounding great.
And then through support of fans or people who wanted it, they were able to bring the game back, so that is why it is Nether resurrected.
Oh, smart.
It is now available for about $10. I don't know what it was before, but it's about $10 on Steam. It was bundled. Somehow, that's how I got it. And I believe you also have this one.
I have it. It looks okay. I mean, on the screenshots.
How? Yes. Okay, so what they said was the game was somewhat ruined by some half-baked ideas, some things that weren't fully developed, basically saying that it was more the producers, not the actual developers, that kind of made the game not what it was supposed to be.
Right. I mean,
So,
what is it supposed to be then?
the game is a combination of multiplayer online shooter
Okay.
where there are creatures that are attacking. I'm not really sure. I didn't look into the story of this game. They're either mutants or they're aliens. I lean towards mutants. They seem like deformed humans, I think. And they are, I don't know. The whole world is post-apocalyptic, and I think it's meant to be Chicago. I believe that's what I read, which would explain the fact that there are elevated train tracks. So it's a future where things have gone terribly, terribly wrong. So already post-apocalyptic, Justin is interested. Right, that is definitely one of my genres I love to hit up. So here I am playing the game. Now I have to play for 60 minutes. So I get onto the game, and already it's got a problem for me because there's no controller support. So now I have to play using keyboard and mouse. I'm already feeling a bit awkward and not my element. I can choose my character. It's pretty much just the same male or female, but the outfits you can choose are different. I don't know that they have any different strengths or weaknesses. When you first start up, you basically have nothing. And it's a bit roguelike in that matter because when you die, you revert back to nothing. And your choice is either to switch characters or exit the game. And switching characters just basically gives you kind of a new outfit, and then you're back in the game. They have a ridiculous amount of taunts for your character to choose from. The classic ones, like, well, they call it the bag, but it's clearly teabagging.
Right.
They have some more interesting ones for those of you that are fans of Arrested Development, because they put in 2 different chicken dances, and they aren't the ones that you would typically see at like a wedding reception. These are specific ones that were used in the show, and so I do appreciate that. I spent a lot of time looking at the taunts before getting into this game. I was a bit intimidated. I didn't know what I was getting into, and because you had suggested I play this one, I was even more leery of what this game might be. So when you actually do start into the game, you can choose to start into a safe mode or out into the world. So there are safe zones, I should say. Safe zones and basically
danger zones.
Yeah. And the thing is, you have those mutants I was telling you about, but you also have a human element. So you could help each other or you could kill each other. So that plays into the game as well. However, it doesn't really seem to play into it now because most of the reviews are saying that the game is dead. And as I logged on, I was the only person.
Oh man, really?
By the 5th time I died and respawned, I think I exited the game by accident, so I had to start over. But I didn't, it gives you the choice to switch characters or go to the main menu. I accidentally went to the main menu. So that means that I had to choose a server again. And there was one person in one, so I went to that one, but of course I never found them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I only had about 15 minutes at that point, or 10 minutes to find them.
So, I mean, is it playable? Can you play it with, single player, though?
There is a single player section.
Right, okay.
And I would say go ahead and do that. It seems slightly easier.
Okay.
And you seem to get slightly more materials from your kills. Might as well.
What do you mean? So is this like a construction game? Do you have to build stuff?
You can, but you don't build, at least from what I saw. I remember.
It's only 60 minutes, yeah.
It's only 60 minutes. You can craft things.
Okay. Like weapons?
Yes. Okay. You can also trade items for experience points.
Okay.
And I think you might be able to craft some things with these. Basically body parts. There's skin, blood, spine, bones. I'm not exactly sure what we're doing with all of these things, but you can apparently trade them. I didn't typically live long enough to get back to a base in order to really work with that, so I don't know exactly. When you start up, there is a box in your inventory every time, and it is considered the tutorial, and that is to get from essentially one base to another.
It's one safe zone to the next safe zone kind of thing.
To drop it off, and that gives you some experience, but you have to find your way through a bunch of mutants on the way. It's not a great tutorial because it's basically just throwing you in and saying good luck and giving you the worst weapon. You just have this tiny dagger. Well, it's a big kitchen knife, but when you're fighting against things that teleport every time you attack them, and so then they appear immediately behind you or off in the distance, and you never really know, and your health sometimes starts to replenish and sometimes doesn't. I'm not sure why that was going on. Again, this may take longer than an hour to figure out all the mechanics of the game, especially when they don't really explain the mechanics of the game. There's no real explanation tutorial. When you go to trade with people, the NPCs, they don't really talk to you. You just see what they have in their inventory. I'm not sure how I feel about this. It doesn't help with the story because there's kind of no story and no kind of emotion and no anything to feel like this is a whole world. But the number of times in Skyrim that I had to hear that guy say, "Welcome to my shop, everything's for sale.
I'll sell my grandmother."
Oh gosh, I hated that so much.
It's okay, I robbed him blind.
But it does make me wonder, would it be better if they said nothing? I would kind of like it if they didn't say the same thing all the time, or after you've been there a few times, they just say,
it's you.
Yeah, let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
Oh, you're here again.
Yeah. So, I'm confused though. So, what kind of, visually or, another game, what other game does it remind you of? Is it, Left 4 Dead? Or is it,
It's not Left 4 Dead, because Left 4 Dead...
It's co-op.
It's co-op.
But this seems
you're working together.
It's more of a
free...
each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least that's my understanding. And it's a free-for-all and a sandbox, right? So you can go from one safe zone to the other. You can go in any order that you want.
Can you see the whole map? Does the map look pretty big?
Yes. In fact, it looked like some of the map was shaded off. So I think that the map will grow if you can progress in some way.
Okay.
Did you play Dead Island?
Yeah.
I would say Dead Island. It's probably the closest in relation to Dead Island, except if there were more players on the map.
Right.
So you can kind of go around, go through, in this case, a much more ruined world, but you can sort through all sorts of buildings and look for materials, it looks like, so that you can craft, so that you can build weapons, so that you can trade with people. It seems much more like that, except I really like Dead Island, and I'm not a huge fan of this one.
Is it just because it's dead?
I think...
The servers are dead, or...
No. Well, that would certainly add to it, right?
Yeah.
We don't have that element to the game, but Dead Island is a single-player game, and I like that game.
Yeah.
This game, for me, has the same problems that many MMORPGs might have in the fact that when you start off at a super low level, so that everything wants to kill you. Except in those games, there's a way to kind of retain some things that you keep, and you don't lose everything every time. This feels very roguelike in the fact that as soon as you die, you pretty much lose everything and you start over. There's not a whole lot that you get to keep. I think maybe you keep a bit of money, but that seems to be about it. So you start over again with just a kitchen knife and a lot of hope. And your stamina level wears out very, very quickly. So trying to run from place to place wears you out very quickly. You don't get to run for very long. So even trying to get away from things, running only helps in short bursts. And these things can teleport, so you can maybe hit them, but you can't always escape them. There are little ones that aren't so bad, but if you run into one of the big ones, you're just dead. And that happened to me the very first life that I had. As soon as I left the safe zone, the first creature I came across was something akin to a werewolf, and it basically wiped me out immediately.
Wow.
It was about 2 hits, maybe 3 hits, pretty quickly. I got 1 hit in, it teleported behind me and crushed me.
Oh, so the werewolves can teleport as well.
It seems like all the bad guys can teleport.
Is it like a frantic kind of game like Left 4 Dead as well? Is it like, are you like swarmed with enemies, or is it like...
It's not that bad.
Like Vermintide. Is it like Vermintide when the Chaos Horn blows and you just got like 10 million
No, it's
rats?
definitely not like that. At least not at the beginning,
Right.
and not in the sections I played.
Okay.
You can kind of get around things if they don't notice you.
There's space to move and stealth around stuff.
I would say so, though you don't have stealth immediately. That's one of the things you try to earn. But you can kind of only earn it by killing things or doing this
by being
tutorial
not
and trading up.
stealthy.
Yeah. It's not good for a new player. It's really harsh on a new player. And the kind of death, meaning you lose everything you earned, doesn't make me really want to build up towards something. And I don't see a way to, say, for example, save your game. So even something like Dark Souls, where it's brutal, there still are at least ways to save the game so you don't start over completely every time.
I mean, maybe that's part of the 60-minute problem, is maybe you just have to get to another safe zone. I mean, did you reach another safe zone?
Yeah, in fact, you could respawn into a different one. So if I chose to switch characters, I again could choose jump into the world or jump into a safe zone.
So, like, if you reach another safe zone and die, then it's not like the safe zones don't act as saving points where they keep your stuff?
Well, we need to talk about the safe zones, because the safe zones are not that safe. After the first death, when I had played as a single player, I tried the regular game to see what it would be like. And one of the servers is labeled classic in parentheses, so I went with that one. In it, there was a time where I was trying to get to a safe zone, and just before I got to the safe zone, it said that the safe zone was being overrun. But of course, there's only one of me with my little knife. There's not a lot I can do to stop it.
Yeah.
By the time I got there, it said it was still being overrun. I had to fix 6 machines of some kind in order to make the zone safe again. Probably restart generators, something like that. I couldn't find them. I didn't know where they were. I didn't know what I was doing. If on the game you go to the section marked instructions, it actually takes you to a wiki that fans made to explain the game.
Oh, man.
You and I both have a problem with this. This is a real problem. I still don't know what's going on, so I have no idea how to fix it. You only have about 20 minutes or something, 10 minutes, I can't remember. It was definitely too short for me to figure it out. The place is not safe during that time, so creatures can spawn or come into this safe zone area and kill you, so they killed me, and then I had to start over again. There was another time where I waited it out to see what would happen. I found a pseudo-safe spot where the creatures didn't find me, and waited it out to see if I ran out of time, if it would just go back to being safe. Oh no, now there's no way to save it. You have to wait an hour for the section to be safe. And to make matters worse, the training crate that I'm trying to transport to get my basic XP and to start the game really, I can't trade it because the zone isn't safe. So now none of the NPCs are actually reacting to me or trading with me or anything. I hold the E button and it does the kind of loading thing, and this is normally where all the inventory would pop up, but nothing happens.
Oh.
I'm assuming it's because it was no longer a safe zone. So that means I would have to wait an hour for this zone to become safe again.
I mean, so you'd have to play it, like, it's not like one of those games where you could just, like, quit the game, come back in an hour.
Well, you probably could, but you'd be starting from the beginning again.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that's rough.
But I don't know if I died and came back, if it would still be unsafe. I don't know if it's catered to each player coming in. I don't know how that works. The game as it's designed, visually, it does look pretty good. I mean, it's a bit old, but it is a few years old. I don't have a problem with that. The fact that none of the characters seem to speak or really react to me in any way, the fact that there's no real tutorial to explain to me what I should be doing or some very basic sections. I mean, there should be some sort of early section where I can attack something that is so easy that makes me feel like, yes, I can do this. And then if I go too far in a different direction, I'm out of my element and I get crushed.
Yeah, like in Fallout, whereas, like, I'm going in this direction, it's just bloat flies, and then you head over that mountain and like, holy shit, it's a Cazador, and I'm dead in one shot, yeah.
Something like that would work for me.
Yeah.
This one doesn't feel like that. It feels like the 3 or 4 basic creatures could be anywhere out in the world. And especially with the safe zones not being safe, I don't think in the single player that's an issue. I think it's only in the main game. So, if you're out there and you do want to play this game, play it in the single player first. Give that a try. At least you might stand a chance to kind of figure out what's going on.
I mean, is the single player at least got, like, a campaign with a story?
All I found was in my inventory were the cases that I was supposed to deliver from place to place. But it didn't really explain that. I've found that in my inventory, it tells you to take it to a place, and it says in the description, tutorial mission. There's also a wall in one of the safety areas where if you hit a button to read, it says you should start off by taking cases from place to place. It does tell you, but I could have started off in the main fighting section and never would have known that. I wouldn't know what's going on. So no, I think it's lacking a lot in tutorial explanation and a kind of leveling system, because you start off in the world and there's apparently, at least as far as I could see, no way to save and no way to really kind of level up in an easy way. I think, for me, this is the type of game that could be very, very interesting, because you could get 67 people, I think, in a server. And I think that this would be the type of game that would be hilarious to run with a huge group of people all working together in some way.
Which is probably how it was intended, to be honest, by the sounds of it, yeah.
I believe so. As a single player doing this, though, it doesn't quite work. I have watched other things like Griffin McElroy playing World of Warcraft, where he tried to play a peaceful run, and that got to be very, very difficult for him. But he had fans that would come in and help out, and so at one point he would have 20 other characters by his side, fending off all the creatures so that he could make it through a difficult section. And it's that type of thing that I think could be very fun to play with this kind of game. If you got even, say, 20 people who got this game in a bundle, were kind of stuck with it, didn't really know what to do with it, but you could get them coordinated to all play at the same time. There's nobody fighting you for server space, so you could probably easily fit as many people on there as you could get and work towards certain missions, and you might have some fun doing it that way. It doesn't quite have the same element of a game like The Forest, where you can actually build a fort or build some sort of base.
Have you played that?
A bit, yeah. But I was playing it in... Like, my brother-in-law had it in early access, so we were playing it very, very early on.
Yeah, it looks interesting, that game, actually.
It is interesting, and I think that that's something that's missing from this game. I think being able to create a faction or create a base or create something else that would add to it. There are groups you can join, but I don't, again, see the advantage or disadvantage at this point of them. I think for me, it just doesn't quite work as a game.
I was just looking at I wanted to see what it looked like. It looks quite nice, actually. It looks like it's got good graphics. Does it handle well? I mean, are the controls good? I mean, I know you don't like playing keyboard and mouse, but is it kind of smooth, good combat?
It's okay. It's tough to tell because I never really got my hands on a gun, and I think that's where it really comes into play. The knife works. I think you could get used to it. is what I would say. I think it's not the best, but I think you could get used to it. I think it would definitely improve a lot as your character improves, because I leveled up my stamina, I think just 3 sections out of, I think 12, and it was noticeably much better when it came to running, when it came to fighting, because that's another thing that really bothers me is when, and Skyrim did this too, stamina is tied to running and fighting. So if you're running at all and then a creature attacks you and you have no stamina, you're kind of out of luck. And that's a real problem in this game, I think, especially since you're always going to be starting off low and you can't save to level up. Though there must be some way, because they couldn't expect you to play forever and always start at 0.
And then wait an hour for an area to become safe.
So I probably just missed a lot in that hour, but
that's what happens when you got no tutorial, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the game.
So I take it you will be going back to play this again?
If I had a group that wanted to run in Storm and try to figure it out.
Well, I have a copy of this game.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, the two of us could play together.
And we'd be the only people playing by the sounds of it.
Very possible. I do think someday if we could get maybe our Steam group, if we get 10 people who have the game and want to jump in and play, we could maybe try something like that. But as a single player with seemingly no real story, it just doesn't quite work for me. You're talking about Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead has a slight bit of story, but not enough to really entice me. The one thing Left 4 Dead does is it has checkpoints. It has basically just a linear section to play, and then you finish it. This doesn't have that at all. It's sandbox, so there's no sort of feeling of completion, and so that's something that's really missing, especially early game. I played for an hour and felt like I didn't really get anywhere.
Well, there's a lot of people who are on our Steam group who own this game. I'm looking at
it now.
I'm looking at you now. You know who you are. It's in your library. You've idled it for cards. Actually, does it have cards? No, it doesn't. Yeah, multiplayer MMO. Those are 2 words that just do not entice me to play a game, man. I just don't like... I like it when it's tacked on. Like, I don't like it when that's the sole focus of the game. I'm not a big multiplayer fan.
I think the idea is to take down the big bosses, because they're what they call Reapers, and it will say on the screen, Reaper attack in 10 minutes, so then you need to go find them.
Right.
If it is the winged creature that knocked half my health down in one hit, yeah, I'm definitely not ready for that.
Right. Yeah, recommended by one of my friends, and not recommended by 2 of my friends, so...
Yeah, there's a lot of negative reviews for this game.
And recently as well, because, well, obviously because it was bundled recently, so everyone's got this in the bundle and like, oh, this looks awesome. Which when I saw it, I was like, this looks pretty, it looks gory, it looks like it could be fun, and it's, well, by the sounds of it, it's not.
It's missing something. So...
Players.
That's what most people seem to be complaining about, that the game just seems to be dead. But... that complaint is also used for Dead by Daylight a lot, and it's not dead at all. So people do complain. This one, however, I could say, at least when I played for an hour and saw only one other person, that does make it feel like it's not going strong. One of the complaints seemed to be that they are not allowed to make user-created servers, and that gets in the way of things as well. I wouldn't know about that. I'm not much of an MMO person, so I've not made servers myself. But at this point, I don't see how that could bother anyone, because you could basically just take over your own server. I mean, there are 4 to choose from. Just jump in and make one of them yours. As far as tags, definitely, I don't know if I want to say multiplayer online, because there wasn't anyone else. I mean, I might say mutants, resource gathering, sandbox, I guess. I mean, there's combat in there, but it's not the best, because I was getting crushed. Again, if I was able to get a better weapon, maybe that would improve things. I had a crowbar at one point, but I died and lost it before I really got a chance to use it.
Gordon Freeman wouldn't die and give up his crowbar.
I would probably not recommend the game. I'd say if you've already got it, yeah, go ahead and give it a shot. Maybe you're going to find that you love it. Maybe you're going to find something that you like. There is something to exploring this world. They did a lot with the world.
It looks amazing.
Walking up on the L train tracks, that's pretty amazing. There's just plants growing everywhere. And yeah, it's definitely video game plants where it's just asset after asset, and it's a bit 2D layered out to make it look like it's 3D, but it's not bad. For as big of a world as it is, it's not bad. I think it just feels like a game that's incomplete. It feels like a game that should still be marked early access. And the thing is, it's from 2014. It's not early access. It's not getting anything else probably put into it, especially if it doesn't get more fans. So go in, have fun, bring a lot of friends if you can, and I think that you might have a good time. It might be worth a couple hours, especially if it's already sitting in your library. But at $10, I wouldn't suggest buying it at that. If you get it bundled, give it a try, but that's pretty much the only people I recommend it to. So for you, I might recommend it, because I know you've already got it, but there are a lot of other things I'd recommend you play before this one.
So, buyer's remorse or buyer's confirmation for that one?
That's tough to say, because, I mean, I'm sure there were better things in the bundle. I didn't buy the bundle for this game, but I will say that that's tough. Because it feels like a game where they put a lot of time into it, and you can see that they wanted to do something really good here, but it fell short. It must have fallen short. And because it fell short in the beginning, it never got the love to give it the money and the time to make it fully realized. I feel very bad saying this, but if I had bought it for 10, it would be a definite remorse. I'm still gonna say, yeah, this is probably a remorse.
All right.
Remorse.